The legendary Shinichirou Watanabe has stated, AI has no passion and is emotionless. I know, big shock, right? If anybody knows Watanabe, or at least watched, I don't know, one of like 4 different of his works, you'll know that this guy doesn't have a big love for AI. Lazarus has a AI god in it that's doing some crazy stuff. I mean, you have, yes, Carole Tuesday. Yes, I think Carole Tuesday is probably the best look into what he thinks about AI. Sort of gives a broad view of his, of like what it can actually do, what benefits it has, how people consume it, but yes, still sort of how bad it is. That kind of stuff. But yes, here recently at an event, I believe this was from the Making of Lazarus event that Japan Society did, he did make some statements about AI. Specifically, he was questioned, how do you navigate the changing market inside 30 years and still have the fortitude to continue creating shows? He stated, a director alone cannot make anything. A director needs a really good team of good members. And how do you make good work? There's one sure way to succeed in gathering good staff, which is your passion. And then you talk to your crew saying that, I got this great idea and it's going to be super successful. And if you keep convincing people with your passion, usually they'll relent and agree to join you. The reason why passion is important is because AI doesn't have passion. Now, I will say right here, I feel like this transition's a little off. So it could be due to the fact that somebody's doing translation at the same time, and maybe somewhere in there it gets that transition lost. So I really do hope eventually they'll release the entire interview here. But he says the reason why passion is important is because AI doesn't have passion. Imagine if AI comes to you and asks you to do something for it. You wouldn't do anything. I know there's a lot of people who say that AI is going to replace people, and it's going to take a lot of human jobs. But when it comes to hand-drawn anime, I don't believe that at all, because AI doesn't have emotions. And who wants to look at something that is emotionless? So with that, I want to continue to make hand-drawn anime. I think he's a little bit overly positive here. There's a bit of copium here. The last part I don't agree with. I believe it's going to eventually take over things. But going back a little bit, again, I don't really get the transition here, but what it seems like he's saying here is obviously, yeah, in order to create something, you need to have passion. You have to have a love for something you want to create. So when somebody goes to watch something or they go to consume something, say an art, an image or something like that, they see that passion in there. Somebody had something to say. Somebody wanted to show something. That's the key thing there. They wanted to show something. So when you watch something, you see that grit in there. You see the emotion in the character's face, the expressiveness, all that kind of stuff in it. Whereas he's saying with AI, it doesn't have that. There's no guts behind it. There's not somebody that's wanting to show something to somebody. It's just the prompt told it to say something, and the prompt says, okay, I said it. Do you like it? Yes or no? No, alter the prompt, change it to something else. And again, as many people would say, it's just pulling from other people's works. And I think that's really the important thing to kind of note here is that he is coming from the perspective of somebody that seems to know a lot about AI. I mean, if you look at, especially with Carole Tuesday, Carole Tuesday is all about that. It's all about the idea of a world that is mostly given most of its things to AI. It's doing a lot of decision making. And yes, art itself is mostly done by AI. I think at some point in the show, this guy that, was it Tao, I think it was? Yeah, Tao. Tao is a character in Carole Tuesday that is like a genius with AI. This is a guy that's even like looked into the idea of brainwashing and stuff with it. And he takes upon himself a model that is going to go to singing, and her name is Angela. And this guy, I think at some point states that in the world, the music itself, or well, in the universe, because they're on the moon and there's Earth, 99% of music is made with AI in this world. And you might not even realize it. It's everybody's doing it. And that's the theme throughout the entire show is you have Carole Tuesday, who are 2 individuals that don't have AI to create their music. They're creating their own music because they have a passion behind it. And they're going up against people that all use AI. You have vocalists and stuff that have the AI create the song and the lyrics and the music itself, the tune. And again, with Tao and Angela, Tao is literally using the AI to like hyper analyze her and adjust her vocal cords and prod her and figure out the best song that she herself can sing based on her ability and what she can get to if she works towards it. And it creates the perfect songs for her. So you have, again, basically human nature fighting against AI itself, even though there is the presence of human. And again, I do give him a lot of respect for how he tells certain stories about AI, especially with Carole Tuesday, because there's still a human element within it. Whereas I think when it goes towards a later part of the series, you do get in the idea of where giving it everything is sort of the bad thing. Yes, there is a climax moment of the story that I personally didn't care for it going in the direction of, because it sort of draws away from the main story. It gets into a later part where it does get in the idea of giving it too much. I think that was sort of present with Lazarus as well. Lazarus as well is a story where at some point you have an episode dedicated to a cult around an AI, when people give the AI too much and it takes away from it. So again, I do sort of take Shinichirou Watanabe's perspective on AI a little bit differently than most, because I think where most are thinking it is strictly, I see AI, I say gross, get it away from me because it's going to take away from me. I don't think necessarily Shinichirou Watanabe is taking it from a perspective of it's taking away from me. I think he's going more to the idea of it's taking away from the people that I work with. And I do love that. I think the earlier part of this statement is really great, because he is saying, I have the passion, and I can bring it to the prompt, and the prompt will just give me something. It's not getting people together with all their own creativities and showing them my passion so that they can agree with me eventually, and then we can all together with our passion create something. Again, I'm not sure exactly why it transitioned to him saying, if an AI asks you to create something. I think that's probably just to give you a perspective there, is that at its core, the AI, if it wants to create something, create an anime, you tell it to create an anime, the AI doesn't have the passion to bring together resources to make something with passion, because it doesn't happen. It doesn't have it. Now, yes, I do agree that a passionate person can use AI. And I think that's where I sort of disagree with him towards the later parts of his statement here, because he's going into the realm of, it's emotionless and it'll never do anything and nobody will ever really accept it. That it's not going to take over jobs. It's already doing it. It's going to eventually get there. It is an eventuality. Like I always say, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when for AI. I agree with him. I personally agree with Shinichirou Watanabe. I believe that AI can be used as a tool, but at the same time, I don't like the idea of it completely taking over art specifically, because art, it needs somebody behind it. It needs a soul behind it. And I feel like most of the time when I watch an AI, it's completely soulless. It's completely soulless. It doesn't have anything in there. It's sort of like watching Carole Tuesday, where you have that sense of, yeah, when Carole Tuesday get up on the stage, you get that sense of like you're sitting down with somebody and they're just singing you a tune. They're a very homey group. They're like the sitting on the porch with the guitar, let's just sing a song melody type of thing. Whereas everybody else, it's like high production, it's very electronic in a lot of cases, that kind of stuff. Even though, again, there's a lot of human elements still in there to get that sense of it's not completely out of control. Now, why I was saying cope earlier is, unlike Watanabe, I sort of see a lot of different groups of people, and I do see, especially the younger generation, are much more accepting of AI. And they're not growing up with a sense of what art once was. I think the best way of describing this is sort of similar to the transition into CGI anime. Is there was a time where a lot of people that were in the 80s and 90s of anime was coming into 2000s, and you see much more CGI being used, especially for mecha. A lot of people were like, I don't care, it looks cool. And there was a lot of people going, but you don't realize back here people used to hand draw it, and you could see that grit, and you could see that clumsiness in there every now and then. You can see the little specks pop up every now and then that shows you that somebody hand scanned this stuff. You can see the blood, sweat, and tear. Oh, by the way, if you look at frame, 600 on this episode, you can see there was a blood drop on the actual cell. That stuff is being lost, and CGI started taking over. And I think it's going to be the same for AI. Eventually, you're going to have a lot of people growing up with it, and it's going to be like, well, I see this stuff all the time on my feed. Why wouldn't I watch an anime like this? Now, yes, this isn't the first time that Watanabe has actually spoken on AI itself. Way back earlier this year, he had a talk. I think he's literally going around and doing talks everywhere. And in a lot of the cases, I think people are asking about AI. I think a lot of people want to get his perspective on AI. It's a very clickbaity type of concept here that people are going to want to ask him about to put on their websites. And yes, Gizmodo Japan had posted a interview with him, and he said, actually, there's a trend to introduce AI into anime. But I think that people who work in anime started their careers because they wanted to draw pictures, create stories, and make good works. If AI makes everything, does it mean anything? No matter how advanced the work is, I think we're forgetting the basic fact that we make music because we want to. Carole Tuesday was also about why we make music in an age where it's common for AI to make music. Again, in that particular story, like 99% of it is AI. We could say it's to create a hit to capture people's hearts, but ultimately, the question is whether it's fun to make it. It's also about why humans create. Now, here's where I kind of run into a problem with what he's saying here because, yeah, like I said before, I believe that art should be from somebody. Otherwise, what's the point of the art? The art is to express oneself. What's the point in seeing somebody's prompt? I mean, unfortunately, every single time I see AI videos specifically on the internet, I get nothing from it. I watch it and I go, yeah, it kind of looks like a lot of the other ones. It's doing kind of the same stuff as them. But ultimately, in the end, it's not really necessarily how it flows that looks repetitive. It's more the fact that what did this say? It said nothing to me besides there's the creepypasta ones where it just does really weird things for the sake of being weird. I get nothing from it. I don't get a laugh or anything. But at the same time, I do acknowledge that some people just don't care. They don't really necessarily agree with me, the idea that I want to see something said. He continues, this is not limited to AI, but I have worked in the anime industry for a long time and have concluded that anything drawn by human hands has a certain charm, even if the drawing is messy. Yeah, so those 6 fingers are actually technically 5 fingers and a thumb. There's the messy aspect that everybody now claims is AI. The messiness that he's talking about is literally what everybody calls AI. There's another finger. This is because the feeling of a person who draw it are put into it. But when something is automatically generated by AI, no matter how detailed or high quality it may be, it lacks any human emotion. It's like a heartless monster. I don't think people are impressed by the amount of information or the accuracy. Of course, some people will say it's fine. At least he's acknowledging it here. Of course, some people will say it's fine because you can't tell the difference. And I think eventually that's going to happen. I do honestly agree with that. Eventually, this is really where I'm going. The anime industry will release something and you're going to have it's not going to be like right off the bat, but you're going to probably have 3-second cuts in the middle of the show is going to be fully AI and nobody's going to even notice. It's going to be in there and you're going to move on, not even thinking a thing. And eventually they're going to add more segments and then more segments. And eventually it's just going to come out that the entire thing is AI. He continues, so I think it's why people now expect her to have a discerning eye for aesthetics. Well, my current conclusion is that, regardless of the fields, it's better to not use AI in the creative field, and I want to continue making hand-drawn animation without AI, so please continue to support me in the future. Yeah, like I said before, I think that his perspective is really solid, and again, I do think that he gives a perspective that is not completely 100% throw this away, even accepting it in his own works, showing that it can work, it just lacks something. Again, Carole Tuesday, I think, is a prime example of his perspective of AI. It is there. A lot of people are using it. People are enjoying it, and it's being consumed. It's not immediately a threat, but there's this element here where people still want to have things hand done. There's still this element, the human element still in the end can overcome things. And even in the show, there's a lot of cases of people just going, I don't think this is great. You're not amazing just because you do it yourself. Everybody else is doing AI, and I like those better. There's still a sense here where it's not like it's the magic button. They press the magic button because they did it themselves. There's still an element here where it can succeed. There's still a reality that AI can overcome people in a lot of ways. But I think the thing that sort of works against Shinichirou Watanabe is honestly the industry itself. The anime industry is not really supporting the creatives. You can say left and right about how it's all about being passionate and bringing in passionate people and good members and all coming together with your passion and hand drawing with your passion anime. But over here, people are leaving the industry. Animators are leaving the industry. They're going overseas. There's a lack of animators in general. They're all being overworked and they're all being treated horribly. And so it's hard to really kind of say. Now, I'm not saying that Watanabe mistreats his animators and his workers. He could be totally golden and be the nicest guy to ever work with. But it's hard for a lot of people to believe this when it doesn't seem like the industry itself is following through with that. The industry itself is not agreeing with him. They're not treating these people properly. And in the end, what's going to happen is he's going to at some point have no choice but to use AI when that's the only option available because all the other animators are out of work or they're tired of the industry itself. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I just want to get on here and talk about his statements regarding this. Again, I hope that eventually they'll release the entire interview because, again, I think there's stuff in here that's possibly being missed or potentially mistranslated. But Some interesting talk here. I think, again, he does have a lot of solid statements around it. I have recently just watched Carole Tuesday again. I think it's a really awesome series. Again, besides the very ending of it, I think it has like this big final boss scenario that's like, he didn't really have to do that. It wasn't really necessary to be there. But overall, it was a really good series that I did enjoy. So I do recommend checking that out. And again, I think it is a really cool look into AI without being overly preachy about how bad AI is, besides the ending again. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, become a member. Until next time, y'all take care.